ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਖਬਰਸਾਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਅੱਜ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਹੋਵੇਗੀ, ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਵੇਗੀ ਐਡਮਿੰਟਨ ਏਰੀਆ ਤੋਂ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਮੈਟ ਚੈਨਰੌਕਸ। ਅਤੇ ਮੈਟ ਚੈਨਰੌਕਸ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਰੋਨਾ ਵਾਇਰਸ ਸੰਬੰਧੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਉਠਾਈ ਸੀਗੀ, ਆਪਣੀ ਸਟੇਟਮੈਂਟ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਸੀ, ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਰੇਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਜਨਵਰੀ 25 ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਵਾਰ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਖੜ੍ਹੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਇਸ ਕਰੋਨਾ ਵਾਇਰਸ ਦੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ। ਸੋ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਲਥ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੇਜ਼ ਕੀਤੇ ਸਨ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਜਵਾਬ ਮਿਲਿਆ, ਕਿਹੜੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਸਨ ਔਰ ਕੀ ਇਹ ਸੈਟਿਸਫਾਈ ਨੇ, ਸਾਰੇ ਕਾਸੇ ਤੋਂ ਉਹੋ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਕੁਝ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਮੈਟ ਚੈਨਰੌਕਸ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਉਣਗੀਆਂ। ਗੁੱਡ ਮਾਰਨਿੰਗ ਮੈਟ, ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦ ਸ਼ੋ।
Morning, thanks so much, Jagdish.
Am I saying your last name right?
Jenneru, you bet.
Jenneru.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Matt Jenneru.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt, thank
yeah.
you so much for taking some time out and talking to me on my show. First of all, I would like to know from you that when you raised this question in the Parliament on the January 25th, how much did you know about it? And what was your question, and what the answer you got? Was that satisfactory?
Yeah, no, I think in hindsight, absolutely, it wasn't satisfactory. We were starting to see at the beginning of January, end of December, that there was an increasing likelihood that coronavirus was making its way outside of Wuhan, China, and making its way across the world. So we wanted to get the sense of where the government was in preparation for it. And they said at the time, their answer was that the risk was low, and essentially that we shouldn't worry about it too much. And then fast forward just a few short months, and here we are all in self-isolation and essentially in lockdown of the economy. So it's was something that we wanted to get on their radar and get them thinking about early, and it was certainly wasn't satisfying to the response at that time.
Mm-hmm. I just noticed that on January 25th, the first positive case came to Canada, and then you raised the question on 27th January. So do you think the WHO was giving enough warning to Canada that you got to be prepared for it? And did you find out about that what were their warnings to Canada?
Well, see, we were calling really early to have the border shut down from high-risk areas, in particular from China and other countries. We started seeing in Italy very shortly after. And it was something that we noticed the countries that were successful in containing it, and some of the Asian countries, Taiwan, Singapore, South Korea, had taken extraordinary steps right at the beginning to control and maintain it. And I believe it's just a few days ago, Taiwan still reporting under 10 deaths with regards to the coronavirus. So it's certainly if you were able to get ahead of it, could have really mitigated a lot of the risk factors. So we started coming out early and asking those questions. The first day of Parliament that we were back was actually January 27th. If we were back a bit sooner, probably would have asked a bit sooner. Mm-hmm. But it was the first day that Parliament was there, and it was from that point on we just realized that the government wasn't prepared, wasn't treating it with the urgency that they essentially should have been, and essentially why we're in the situation we're in today.
Matt, after raising this question in the House of Commons, you took this question to the Health Committee. So you're also Vice Chair of the Health Committee. Can you tell us a little bit more what questions were raised by you? Were you satisfactory from the answer from the committee?
Yeah, again, we had Dr. Theresa Tam in front of us at the Health Committee and asked the questions, how prepared essentially is Canada, and we kept being told the WHO talking points that risk remains low and that we should do everything we could to continue to wash our hands, essentially. When you go back in a timeline of January 25th, 27th, of when first receiving the first case, here in Canada. On February 4th was a decision that the government made to ship the 16 tons of supplies to China, recognizing that it was already here. So knowing that we were asking those questions at committee, unbeknownst to us, they were already making plans to send protective equipment outside of China. So the health committee consists of all parties, and it was essentially us and the New Democratic Party that were only asking questions about this sense of urgency and what the plans are for the protective equipment, what the plans are for when more cases come here, and that little did we know that they were already making plans to send the protective equipment outside of Canada at the time. So it was certainly frustrating to read some of that in hindsight.
All right. Let me read the question that you asked on that day on the Health Committee, and let me know what their answer was. The first question you raised there, does Canada have the medical equipment and the supplies to handle the massive amounts of cases expected across the country? So that was your first question. What was the answer, and were you satisfied with the answer?
So the answer was essentially yes, they do. But recognizing again that was asked on I believe it was the 29th of January, and on February 4th, again, is when they sent out that protective equipment outside of Canada. So certainly wasn't satisfied with the answer then, but also even seeing in hindsight that the answer is even less satisfying, knowing that they thought that we had enough equipment and that they even could afford to send some outside of Canada. So it's certainly frustrating to look back and see those.
All right. The next question you asked, do you expect the country to peak all at once, or will individual province peak at different times? So what was their expectation at that point in January?
We got if I recall correctly, it was a lot of pushback saying that they're doing everything they can to necessary precautions in place, but recognizing that Canada isn't the same country as let's say in Italy, a lot smaller geography and a lot more dense population, knowing that we're spread out a lot more, and knowing that a lot of the flights come from the Asian countries land in Vancouver and in British Columbia or in major airports like Toronto. Knowing that we're likely to see more cases there, we were starting to ask the questions of, are you prepared for this to not just be a one case, two case coronavirus, but multiple cases, and what's your communication with the provinces? Because we were hearing from people within the provincial sphere saying that there's been no communication with this public health agency whatsoever, so we're making our own plans. So it certainly was, again, frustrating to see their answers in hindsight. All
right, then you raised the question about beds, how many beds currently available across the country, and you also raised the question about the hospitals across the country converting ICUs into the COVID-19 units. Did they had any preparation for that? Were they serious about it? Were they doing anything about it? What was their answer on this question?
I believe they again, lots of the focus was on more talking points saying they're prepared, that they didn't need to call a public health emergency because they have the structures and systems in place. I think in hindsight, if they would have listened to some of us at the time, I think I was even scolded at one point for sensationalizing the risk or fear-mongering as well as what the minister said. But I feel in hindsight, if they would have listened to some of those calls for action, we would have seen a lot more preparation for the beds, for the masks, for the gowns, for the gloves that were now so desperately, ventilators, which we're now so desperately trying to procure, hand sanitizer. But we could have, I think, that was at the beginning of February, I believe, and we could have had an entire month of getting those medical services prepared and procured, as opposed to telling us we're sensationalizing the risk to Canadians.
Matt, what can you share from the documents that were released to the Health Committee after your motion?
Well, I can share that a lot of it's been redacted. They've a lot of it is blacked out right now. We're in the process of fighting to get some of those clear redactions. But it really looked to us that they were really preparing. This preparation was based on what the WHO was telling them, and we know that the WHO was told back in December that there's perhaps this could be transferred from person to person, but the WHO until I think it was the middle of January was saying no, it's not. It can't be transferred from person to person. So the WHO was very slow moving in our opinion, and it's essentially what the documents show is based on that advice from the WHO as terms of what they were following. So, it's again, it's frustrating to read some of those documents because you think if only there was just a little bit more of that preparation, could have been a lot further ahead and possibly saved lives.
Mm-hmm. Matt, general belief among Canadians is that our government has been slow in implementing control measures of incoming passengers for flights coming from the hot spots such as the Wuhan, Iran, Italy. What is your take on it? Did the government act on the right time?
No, we wanted them. We were asking, I believe it was middle of January, to consider three things. It was to increase the preparation for personal protective equipment, to look at putting a mandatory 14-day quarantine in place, and also close flights to those high-risk areas, the Iran, the Italy, the China, because knowing that the quick and bold action is often what helps nations in times of pandemics, and early on we felt it was necessary for the government to take some of that bold action. But and now looking back and seeing that it really took them three months from the first time we were asking to essentially close the borders is I think could have changed a lot of things, and things could have been a lot different now if they would have done that.
Mm-hmm. Matt, my last question to you is, many of our community members are currently stranded in India. If you're following that case, do you think the government is doing enough to bring them back, or there should have been a better plan for that?
Yeah, it's certainly have some cases in my consistency office, particularly from India, and wanting to do everything we can to get those citizens back home. It seems to be taking a whole lot of time to get that done. There's other countries you've seen that have been able to charter flights in and out of. I would hope that the government's working hard to do that. I think if for us there in government, it would certainly be applying a lot of pressure to make sure that happens sooner than later. So it's I encourage everybody to be patient, and we're doing our best in the opposition to try to get this happening as quickly as possible.
All right, thank you so much, Matt. Anything else you want to share with our listeners?
No, I think it's good health and stay safe, everybody, and hope to see everybody again soon. All my friends in the 416 area, looking forward to seeing you soon.
All right, thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
ਧੰਨਵਾਦ। ਸੋ ਸਾਡੀ ਇਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਮੈਟ ਜੈਨਰੂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਐਡਮਿੰਟਨ ਤੋਂ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਹੈ। 27 ਤਰੀਕ ਨੂੰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਸਟ ਟਾਈਮ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਰੇਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ। 25 ਤਰੀਕ ਨੂੰ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਕਰੋਨਾ ਵਾਇਰਸ ਦਾ ਕੇਸ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਹੈਲਥ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਰੇਜ਼ ਕੀਤੇ ਸਨ। ਜਨਵਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੀਆਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜਨਵਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੂਰੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪ੍ਰਪੇਅਰ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਹੈਂਡਲ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ, ਅਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਨਫ ਸਮਾਨ ਹੈ, ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਨਫ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਵੈਂਟਿਵ ਗੇਅਰਸ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ, ਔਰ ਉਹ ਇੰਨੇ ਕੁ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਫੈਬਰਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਚਾਈਨਾ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਸ਼ਿਪ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੇ। ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹ ਵਰਤਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਆਈ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਪਾਸ ਕੁਛ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ, ਅਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਚਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਹੱਥ ਫੈਲਾ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੀਵੈਂਟਿਵ ਗੇਅਰ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਹੈ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਕਵਿਪਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਰੀਅਲੀ ਦਸੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਲੇਟ ਦਸੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹ ਸਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਵੂਹਾਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਚਾਈਨਾ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਕੇਸ ਫੈਲਣਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ, ਔਰ WHO ਨੇ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ 'ਚ ਅਵੇਅਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ, ਜਾ ਕੇ ਮਾਰਚ ਦੇ ਐਂਡ 'ਤੇ ਲਗਭਗ ਮਾਰਚ ਦੇ ਐਂਡ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਦੇ ਕੰਨ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜੂੰ ਸਰਕੀ ਹੈ। ਔਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਮਾਰਚ 12 ਨੂੰ ਹਾਊਸ ਆਫ ਕਾਮਨ ਦੀ ਸਟੇਟਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਲੌਕ ਕਿਊਬਿਕ ਦੇ MP ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਟਰੈਵਲਰਸ ਕਮਿੰਗ ਫਰੋਮ ਇਨ ਇਟਲੀ ਤੇ ਮੌਂਟਰੀਅਲ 에ਅਰਪੋਰਟ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਸਕਰੀਨਿੰਗ ਨਹੀਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੇ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੱਧ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਔਰ ਮਾਰਚ 12 ਨੂੰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਜਸਟਿਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਯੈਸ ਇਟ ਇਜ਼ ਸੀਰੀਅਸ। ਸੋ 3 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਟਾਲਮ ਟੋਲ ਗੱਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਰਹੀ, ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ, ਸਾਡੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਉਂਦਾ, ਟਿੱਚਰਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਚੀਨ ਨੂੰ, ਔਰ ਟਿੱਚਰਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾਗਾ। ਦੂਜੇ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਲੱਗੀ ਅੱਗ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬਸੰਤਰ ਨਜ਼ਰ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ, ਲਓ ਜੀ ਚਾਈਨਾ ਤਾਂ ਗਿਆ, ਚਾਈਨਾ ਤਾਂ ਖਤਮ ਆ, ਹੁਣ ਚਾਈਨਾ ਤਾਂ ਖਤਮ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਚਾਈਨਾ ਹੁਣ ਇਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਵੁਹਾਨ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਫਿਰ ਚਹਿਲ ਪਹਿਲ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਅਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਮੁਲਕਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਸੜਕਾਂ ਇਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਸੁੰਨੀਆਂ ਪਈਆਂ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕੁਇਕ ਪ੍ਰੀਵੈਂਟਿਵ ਮੈਜਰਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਏ ਗਏ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵੱਲੋਂ, ਔਰ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਤੈਅ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਹੈ, ਔਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੁਣ ਲਿਆ ਗਿਆ।